many of you have thought of leaving Lebanon over the past couple of months? Leaving to become the safety net of our families, to build a better future for ourselves, but also simply to escape the harsh reality of war and instability. Well, now imagine with me that you have reached the final destination, and upon your arrival, you meet your employer, and they will be confiscating your passport. You are also told that you will be staying in a small room with no privacy and minimal means of communication. You are also told that you may have no weekends off, no fixed working hours, and on top of that, you must survive less than a minimum wage remuneration. Well, there is no need to go far in imagination. This is the daily reality of tens of thousands of migrant domestic workers who fall under the Kafala system in Lebanon. But what is the Kafala system? So the Kafala system is a legal employment framework that emerged in the 1950s and continues to be implemented in many countries across the region, including Lebanon. This system of laws actually links the status of the worker to that of the sponsor. So in concrete terms, it means that the worker cannot enter Lebanon, they cannot leave Lebanon, and on top of that, they cannot even change employment without the explicit approval from their sponsor. Now, there are many statistics, anecdotes, and facts to highlight how inhumane the system is. But the most alarming one remains that at least one migrant domestic worker thinks of taking their own lives every single week in Lebanon. For many of them, dying is better than surviving through this hell. Now, another testament to the unfairness of the system is the mere fact that I, Reem, coming from a position of privilege, I'm the one giving this talk, and not a migrant domestic worker who can better speak truth and power through their lived experiences. But simply because of power dynamics and for their own safety, we can't do so. And this is why I'm here to explain to you all why we need to reform the Kafala system. So now, from a legal perspective, Lebanon has actually voted in favor of many laws that will force the government to uphold the right of decent work conditions for everyone. Some of these laws include the International Labour Organization on Domestic Work and also the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. But even beyond the letter of the law, Lebanon, as a founding member of the United Nations, has pledged to do all that is its own capacity to meet the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, including SDG 8 on decent work and economic growth. So technically, Lebanon is currently facing a paradox between upholding a system that has been characterized by many as modern-day slavery and failing to meet its legal and policy commitments. So reforming the Kafala system is a moral imperative for all of us to meet our commitment, but it also makes sense economically. And that is because we currently live in a society where recruitment agencies have the monopoly over the sector, and they're actually abusing of that sector at the expense of the interests and the benefits of both Lebanese citizens, but also domestic workers. So yes, you heard it right. Reforming the Kafala system will benefit all of us. I will try to explain it, so it will be kind of like an economics crash course by relying on this ILO documentary. So first, if we reform the Kafala system, we would have a better shot at a better alignment between the worker's skills and also the need of the employer. So for example, think of a family who want to recruit a French speaker helper for the kids, or a helper with some medical training to help the teta or the jaddo. And second, if we reform the Kafala system, we would have increased productivity rates. That is because we would have better working conditions, but also higher wages. So imagine with me that you are sitting and you receive a call from your boss, and they tell you, Mabruk, you got a raise. Wouldn't you come the next day a bit more happy and enthusiastic to get the work done, and most probably delivering a better quality? So now, enough with this crash course, And allow me to return to planet Earth, specifically to Lebanon, to acknowledge that reforming the kafala system is indeed hard, and I know it firsthand. In 2020, I designed this infographics on explaining the kafala system in very simple terms. Little did I know that this post would actually go viral, and also the petition that we have designed would reach tens of thousands of signatures within a couple of days. To build on that momentum, Girl Up Lebanon, the movement that I'm part of, we have drafted a policy paper with tangible recommendations. This paper was then shared with the Ministry of Labor, and a couple of weeks later, we got in touch with the ministry's team, and we were actually told that efforts are underway to promulgate a unified contract for all migrant domestic workers on Lebanese territory. And you should all know that having a unified contract is actually the first step towards reforming the kafala system. But again, you know it, we live in Lebanon. So a week later, the government resigned, and one more time, we were left at point zero. At this point, I kept questioning, what can we do now? Is there any hope? And I wasn't the only one asking this question. People from all over the world were asking us the same exact question. What can we do now? I did not have a clear-cut answer back then, and to be very frank, I don't have one today, but I do know one small thing. We all have the power to do something. So borrowing the words of Anna from Frozen, let us all do the next right thing. As you all plan to leave this auditorium today, I want you to remember these 4 concrete steps. First of all, let us all acknowledge the value of domestic work as a legitimate job, as a job that existed in the past, it exists everywhere, and a job that will continue to exist. Second, let us all reframe the discourse around domestic work as one of rights and duties, and not as one of well-treatment. I, like many of you here, have grown up in a household where we also had a helper. And while my family did not confiscate her passport, overworked her, we were still perpetuating the kafala system, simply because it was the legal system to be followed. So like many of us here, we have rights and duties in our jobs. So we can agree on the same structure with the migrant domestic worker, even if the law does not dictate so. And third, let us all challenge the social perceptions that allow the kafala system to thrive. This is, for example, when all Lebanese call all migrant domestic workers Sri Lankiye without even knowing where they come from, or like many families, they do exchange like domestic workers over the weekends as if they are commodities. And fourth, and most importantly, see the domestic worker for the person they are. Ask for their names. Ask why would they leave their homes in the first place? Why would they come to Lebanon, to whom they are working so hard? Push for their voices to be centered. And always remember, while the kafala system, it seems impossible to reform it today, maybe tomorrow will be different. Thank you.